So to complete assignment number 2, we are going to have to use Web Soil Survey. This is a very good tool. Most of the students that take my class, this is one of the tools that they come back and they say, you know what, I actually use that Web Soil Survey. So we're going to type in Web Soil Survey into whatever browser that you prefer to use. And it's going to bring us to this home page with this big green button on it. All right, so once we're here, we're going to click Start Web Soil Survey. And typically there would be a map of the United States. Previously, I have already searched this, so it is holding on to that information. So in this address bar, you want to type in 2395 Gainsborough grade. And then click View. This is going to bring you to Heidelberg's Pavilion. This is Shipley Farm. And so we're going to click this hand tool right here. We're going to click this hand tool. Grab our map and move it where we kind of want it to. It's down just a little bit more. You can zoom in and out right here with these magnifying glasses, so you have to select the function and then click on the map. It'll reset something like this. I'm going to zoom back in. And that's a little bit more manageable for me. Okay. So once you're here, you can see on assignment 2, there's kind of an outlined area that you need to select. And the way that we do that is with this area of interest. And so this is going to be a polygon, and this is for us to select not a square, right? That's what polygons are for, is not a square. So we'll select that. It looks like we need to start in this. There's like a little triangle. So I'm going to start here. And then we come all the way up to here. And it's not going to be perfect. Like I'm not too concerned about that your polygon exactly matches my polygon, because it's almost impossible for all of us to draw the same exact polygon. But we're going to bring this down to the creek. And when you get to the end, when you finally, when you're finished drawing your polygon, you're just going to double click. And that is going to create your area of interest. All right, and so it should look something very similar to this. Again, it's not that it needs to be exactly perfect, but this is pretty close to what it should look like. And over here, it'll tell you some of the data. You'll fill in some of this information as well. This exercise is mostly meant to kind of walk you through where some of the tabs and where some of the use cases are for this Web Soil Survey, and just to get you familiar with the software and some of the things that you can do in the software. It's pretty much just follow the instructions. All right, so once we have our area of interest, we're going to click on Soil Map. All right, once that map loads, you will see the different soil types that are inside of this field right behind Heidelberg's, right? And so here we have our Baxter Cherty Silt Loam. It'll also tell you how many acres there are in that area, area of interest, the percentage. And if you click on this, it will give you some background information about some of the things that are associated with this particular soil type. So there's just a lot of information that you can at least glean here. Some frost-free period for specific days. So there are several different soil types that are within, behind that field. Some of the other places that you might need to try, kind of tabs that you'll need is like Soil Data Explorer. And so once you get into Soil Data Explorer, it'll show you things like, let's say you wanted to buy a piece of land and you wanted to build a house with a basement. So we would click on dwellings with basements. That was in building site development, suitabilities, and limitations, building site development. And then we wanted to see if we can build a dwelling with a basement. We'll click on view rating. And it'll tell us the different soil types. So obviously red means going to be very difficult. Yellow means you might run into some problems. And green means that, this is fairly suitable in order to do that. It gives you some ratings down here as to why. And I feel like this is going to be more for maybe in assignment 3, we'll start to look at some of these different things. But I feel like this is going to get you through some of that, right? So there are just different soil tab, different tabs that you can go through. I've spent a lot of time in this just looking at some of the really cool things that you could find out, like just to see what kind of limitations you're going to have if you were to perform a certain operation. Under soil properties and qualities, we have several components that we can look at. I know we'll definitely look at this in assignment 3. So we can find out, the water content. We can find out our organic matter, available water holding capacity, erosion factors, potential pH. So let's say that you wanted to buy this piece of property. You were looking to buy this piece of property and you wanted to grow corn on it. We could look at our pH. We would get our rating here. So, looks like the pH is going to range somewhere between 4.6 and 7. And in some of these places, we would know, okay, if I'm going to buy this piece of land, then I'm likely going to have to, do some work to it in order to get it suitable in order to grow crops, right? So I'll probably have to apply lime. And I take that into consideration whenever I am going to potentially look at a piece of land, maybe to do row crops or to build a house on. And so this assignment is really just going to walk you through a couple of different tabs and a couple of different things and how to find some data within Web Soil Survey. It's a pretty straightforward exercise. It's really just follow the instructions, open up some tabs, and find the information that's being asked for. Again, as I mentioned, this is one of the tools that most students come back and say, I used that the most. This has applications for just about, again, if you're trying to buy a piece of land and you want to know what you could or couldn't do on that piece of land, well, then Web Soil Survey will give you a good idea about some of the characteristics of that property before you ever get there. Okay, so if you have any questions about that, trying to find anything, again, it's really just seek and find. But most of everything you're going to need is pretty straightforward in the instructions. Students typically don't have a difficult time filling this, completing this assignment. All right.